Jeff Gibbons here with another YouTube video, and in this one I'm going to be talking all about monitors, near-field monitors, and specifically the Adamaudio T8Vs. These just came out, they're just available on the market right now, and Adamaudio was kind enough to send me a pair to make a video on. So I've been very excited to unbox these, have a look at them, get them set up. I've had them set up for about a week now. And this video I want to talk about a little bit about the features. I won't get too much into the science behind it because there's lots of other videos about that, but I do want to talk about what makes them special for people like me, people like my followers who are trying to make music, maybe don't have a huge budget for expensive monitors, but want to have the most accurate representation of sound in their studio. So I'm going to compare these myself to my older Yorkville monitors. These are kind of budget Canadian monitors that I've been mixing on forever. I got used to them. I got used to how they sounded, and I could mix in my studio, go out to other places like cars or in the house or on headphones, and be able to compensate for any deficiencies in those speakers. I've also got some KRK Rocket 5, so we've got a 5-inch woofer, we've got a 6-inch woofer, and then we've got the 8-inch woofer on the Adamaudios, the T8Vs. So obviously with these monitors you're going to be getting more bass, and that's what you'd expect, and that's exactly what you get. When you first unbox these speakers, you're going to notice the design. They are beautiful. There's no screws on the front. I really like the look of them. It's very simple. There's no LED on the front, but I'm okay with that because I don't like glowing LEDs on all of my gear. But it definitely has the look of the Adamaudio speakers. You've got the ribbon tweeter up top, which is probably one of the highlights of this speaker. We'll talk more about the tweeter in a little bit. Now, what I'm doing in my studio here is I've got the Mackie Big Knob set up. I haven't used this for a while, but what I like about it is I can switch quickly between the different speakers, the 3 different sets, and then what I've also got on here is a mono switch, and I like that because then I can compare them in mono, because right now they're in different position. So that's obviously going to color my perception of these monitors because they're not exactly at the same spot, which would be kind of impossible for a review. So I've been doing a lot of checking of stuff in mono just to see, what's the frequency response of the speaker like. One of the main things I noticed about working with these speakers and comparing them is that the frequency response from the low frequencies all the way up to the high frequencies seems very smooth, and they've got a special system set up for these monitors where they've got 2 amplifiers working. They've actually got a separate one for the low frequencies and a separate one for the tweeter up top. Accelerated ribbon technology, that's what they're calling it, the UART. And the tweeter itself is capable of putting out 4 times as much volume as a regular tweeter, the kind that we're used to on all of our other speakers. And the science behind that says because of that, they can get less distortion. You should experience less ear fatigue as you're working with these monitors, and you're hearing stuff that maybe you didn't hear on other speakers. I did work on a live band project, and listening to the voice, listening to the upper frequencies of the voice, I was hearing things that I wasn't noticing on the other monitors. Another thing I noticed was distortion on some of the voice that I didn't hear on the other speakers. And that to me was one of the biggest things, was that I am now starting to hear things that I wasn't hearing on my old monitors, which makes me a little nervous about what I've been putting out there over the years. But that's the thing with these kind of monitors. When you step up in a price range, you've got to have things that make it worth your while. I mean, let's face it, having Adamaudio speakers in your studio, it is going to look great because they're revered, they're world-renowned speakers, but there's got to be more than that. And it's not just hearing fancy marketing speak. You want that stuff to actually translate into something that makes a difference for you and your listening experience. So other things I love about these speakers is the low end, of course, 8-inch woofer. Getting so much bass out of these speakers that you potentially could get away with not having a subwoofer. Subwoofer might be nice especially if you're doing sound design or really low-end hip-hop stuff, but they go all the way down to 33 hertz. 33 hertz is well below the lowest frequency on a bass guitar. So bass guitar, the low E is around 40, 41 hertz. You're going to hear things in your mix, especially on the voice. If you ever have plosives where you have that low blast of air from a P or a B word. You're going to have plosives that you might not hear with smaller speakers. So very important to have that kind of reference. It doesn't feel like anything's exaggerated, and that's what I was concerned about with these monitors, was that maybe the low end would just be overhyped. And if it was that way, then guess what you would do? You would compensate by not having enough bass in there. So then it would achieve the opposite of what these monitors are supposed to do. So some more science behind the speakers. They've got this thing called HPS, which stands for High Frequency Propagation System. And so what that means is horizontally, it's a wider spectrum. So you're going to get a wider sweet spot where you can move around your desk and still hear proper high frequencies. You don't have to worry about this tight sweet spot in the middle of your mixing station, but it's also got a more focused clarity on the vertical spectrum. The audio pointing directly at my head is going to be a little bit more focused this way so that sound doesn't reflect off of surfaces. This is the idea. So a lot of us have consoles, and even worse, in my opinion, would be a desk like this, because I've got this huge flat surface and I get weird reflections that are going to interfere and cause phase issues and things like that. So that's why positioning is really important. So get those tweeters around ear height, and then we don't have to worry quite as much about these flat surfaces that could cause other problems when we're mixing. And so what that also means is you've got a clearer stereo image. That was something I noticed right off the bat. I listened to Billie Jean and it was like, man, those shakers are just like super panned. It just felt exciting to listen to. This is a song I worked on a few years ago, and listening to it here and comparing it between the speakers, I noticed that my synth bass patch had something present in it that isn't present in other monitors. So it's occurring to me that I've got stuff happening in my mix that I was never aware of, or I've got stuff happening in my mix that was incorrect because of my monitors. So these are the kinds of things that make really good monitors an important thing to have in your studio, and probably something I should have upgraded a long time ago. Last thing is to listen to a lot of other music. Your ears are tuned to the music that you listen to on an ongoing basis. In other words, if you listen to a lot of hip hop, your ears are tuned to the low frequencies a certain way. And once you get your new monitors in your studio, you need to listen to all of that music that you love and get a perspective on what the low frequencies, the amount of low frequencies present in each song in comparison to the other frequencies. What does a kick drum sound like that you like? That way, when you start making your own music with it, you'll EQ that kick drum so it sounds just like the kick drum of the song that you are referencing. So what I did is I've got a playlist here of a whole bunch of really great songs. I got Billie Jean, So What, What's Going On, very fitting song right now. What does Ella sound like on these speakers? And what does the voice sound like on these speakers? And I love the sound of voice, female voice so far, especially on these monitors. It sounds fantastic, especially when I compare it to the other ones. And it all comes down to reference or comparison. So I highly recommend these monitors. They sound great. I can't wait to just keep working on them and hopefully hear other things that I've been doing wrong, but I have to always make sure that I listen to the stuff I'm working on in those other environments and compare the choices that I'm making in here with these new monitors to how it translates and compares to everything else. So thanks again to Adamaudio for sending these monitors, and make sure you go check out my old videos, hit the subscribe button and all that, and we'll see you in the next video.